Christian Bale was preparing for his role in American Psycho, dressing the part, hitting the gym, getting his teeth redone. There was just one problem. He didn't actually have the part. Leonardo DiCaprio did. What Went Wrong is a podcast dedicated to the idea that every movie is a miracle. Join Lizzie Bassett and Chris Winterbauer every other week as they unearth the chaos and humanity behind Hollywood's biggest flops and most shocking successes. They aren't here to dunk on your favorite films. They're here to celebrate movies. As the New York Times said, they're movie industry people who truly love films and the people who make them. Listen to What Went Wrong wherever you get your podcasts.
When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like Aloe or Allbirds, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and great marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling, and for shoppers, buying, simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does online business better than Shopify. It's home of Shop Pay, the #1 checkout in the world. You can use it to boost conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going through to checkout. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/income, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/income to upgrade your selling today. That's shopify.com/income.
Hey guys, we have a merch store now, so if you haven't already, go to onehitthunder.dasherly.com and go and buy some shirts, mugs, hats, phone cases, all with the One Hit Thunder logo on it. We're definitely going to be making more podcast and music related shirts to put up there throughout the next coming months. But right now it's just the logo, so go and support us any way you can. But the best way right now is hitting up our merch store. Thanks. Enjoy the episode.
This week, Matt and I welcome Nichole Vatcher, co-host of the brilliant podcast Nevermind the Music, for a deep dive into Gary Jules' haunting 2001 cover of Mad World. Originally a minor hit for a young Tears for Fears, the song took on a whole new life thanks to its stripped-down piano arrangement and its eerie, unforgettable appearance in Donnie Darko. We talk about its emotional weight, how it became a surprise Christmas #1 in the UK, and whether more credit should go to Gary Jules or his collaborator Michael Andrews. We also take a look at the rest of Jules' career and try to determine whether this quietly powerful ballad is thunder or just a rumble in the distance.
Drown my sorrow, no tomorrow, no tomorrow. And I find it kind of funny, I find it kind of sad.
One hit is all you need to make the money guaranteed, and you can live off royalties forever.
And it makes me wonder, is it just a wonder, or is it one hit thunder?
So Nichole, welcome to the show. I am very excited today to talk about some real head on the bar music, which is what I would define Gary Jules' Mad World is. Now, do any other songs come to mind to you when I say head on the bar music? I'm putting you on the spot.
I kind of love that expression, and I've never heard it until just now, but I feel it like vividly. I feel that. Head on the bar music. That's a tough question.
I came up with a little list. Matt, any songs come to mind for you for Head on the Bar?
One that came to me immediately, because I think it's an equally sad sounding song, is Colorblind by the Counting Crows.
Well, okay. I'm glad you said Counting Crows, because the song I think of is Raining in Baltimore is a real head on the bar type of song. Tom Waits, The Piano Has Been Drinking, that song, really head on the bar. Phoebe Bridgers' Funeral, pretty much all of Elliott Smith's catalog. And another one, which granted, I think this is a beautiful song, but it's very head on the bar. Bonnie Raitt, I Can't Make You Love Me. Oh my.
That's my head on the bar song. That is my karaoke / head on the bar song.
That song.
Like real feel it. Really feel it.
Absolutely incredible song. She played that. I think she played that at the SNL, the 50-year anniversary concert. Oh,
yeah.
So good. Such a song. So I will ask you, Nichole, you brought this song to the table, and I will assume that we are talking about this song on One Hit Thunder because it went to #1 on the UK charts because it did not even chart in the United States. And Matt gave you a pass. He's the one who decides. Matt, what was you?
So I did write down we're bending the rules a bit this week. So the song Mad World never charted in the US except for after Adam Lambert covered it on American Idol, and then it reached number 11 on the iTunes store. That's like the closest it had to charting in the States. But this is literally the only song of Gary Jules that has made any chart anywhere internationally, and is probably the only Gary Jules song that like 99% of the world knows.
Of course. Nichole, I have to ask you, and I'll ask Matt the same question. Did you experience this song at a time in your life where the mood of it really enhanced your experience of the song? Because I got to say that this wasn't a song for me where I was like really down in the dumps and experienced this song in that way, to really have this connection with it.
For sure. I am a child of the late 1900s. Mm-hmm. So I was a teenager in the 1990s in like a Donnie Darko vibe, for sure. And this song at the end of Donnie Darko really like spoke to me. And I was surprised to see it on your list. Matt gave me a list of songs to cover, and I was like, Mad World, like they were a one-hit wonder. Like, I didn't realize that it was a Tears for Fears song that he covered until later when Mark, my co-host on Nevermind the Music, and I recorded a Tears for Fear episode, and he played the Tears for Fears version. I was like, that isn't this song.
Right.
Like, this song is like more morose and not so synth pop. And then I started putting the pieces together. So yeah, it definitely resonates with me as like a sad Gen X, elder millennial, cusp woman, and like this low moment in the late 90s for sure.
Yeah, 2001 is when Donnie Darko came out, so I probably rented it in 2002. I was a junior in high school who had dreams of being a filmmaker. So I was constantly just renting any art house movie that someone told me I would like. Donnie Darko was one of those movies that I rented. Mad World was probably, if not Napster, LimeWire, like immediately downloaded this song. And Chris, you talk about Head on a Bar. My playlist that this went on was, I had a CD in my car that was called Songs for a Rainy Drive. And like this was like on there, like just those moody kind of just like sets the other. Chris, fun fact, other song on that mix was The Streets Stay Positive. Just felt like the beat of that song would match the swaying of the windshield wipers on a rainy drive.
I thought It's Too Late. It's Too Late is such an obvious Streets Rainy Day song. But okay, the main point is this is a bit of a downer. And I mean, I'm sure you two might agree. Yeah, you obviously agree with this. I don't know. Maybe Matt knew. I like Tears for Fears, and I didn't know this was a Tears for Fears song because it was a hit for them, but only in the UK. It wasn't until like 85 that Tears for Fears really hit in the United States. This song was from their debut album. And from 1982, it was their third single, and it was their first chart hit in the UK. It did go to number 3 in the UK in November of 1982. Of course, we think of, Shout and Head Over Heels and Everybody Wants to Rule the World. Those were 85 songs from the Big Chair era for Tears for Fears. That's when they became huge in the States. So it's not really weird that myself and Nichole, and I'm assuming you, Matt, you didn't know this as a Tears for Fears song, did you?
So I knew shortly after I heard this because I was that nerd. Yeah, like I was that nerd that like as soon as I liked a thing, I would research every little aspect about it. So I probably liked Mad World, and within like 2 months of that also downloaded the Tears for Fears original and like got really into that. And I think because of that original, I know I've said this before and you have kind of been like, what the hell are you talking about? But I've said before that the 9 Inch Nails debut album, Pretty Hate Machine, feels like just a slightly darker Tears for Fears a lot of the time. And it's cause I'm thinking of like their version of Mad World. Like, I think that Mad World with a little bit more tweaking would have fit right at home on Pretty Hate Machine from 9 Inch Nails. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there is that kind of like synthy, weird, dark, bassy sounds that you hear on that album. Certainly not on Downward Spiral, but on that Pretty Hate Machine release.
Okay, a little bit of a stretch, but I'll give it to you. Nichole, as I know on Nevermind the Music, you're coming from the psychology side of the music and the songs we're talking about. When you listen to a song like this, which I'm going to tell you, even lyrically, this song is pretty suicidal.
Oh, yeah.
They don't even beat around the bush on this song at all. And
no, it's pretty explicit for sure. One of my first exposures beyond Donnie Darko is I used to play a video for my classes about the decline of civilization, just generally the fall of society, and how we're all wrapped up in our phones so much that we don't look up at all, and we don't see the world around us, and we don't see people when they're offering cries for help to step in and help them. And it's like this cool animation of this sad stick figure walking through the world, and he's just like super bummed out and really low affect, as we would say. And he's looking around the subway, and he's like looking in the city, and everyone's just like glued to their phones. And this song is the background track to that video. And it just speaks to this idea of impending societal collapse, which is pretty dark. And the song really referenced it well. So that was my first like entry point into connecting the psychology of this song to like the lyrics and the world we live in today. So it's definitely available on YouTube. It's a really interesting video about how technology is taking over and ruining everyone. So pretty on brand with the tune. The lyrics are dark.
The piano part like highlights the darkness, though. The piano, I think, makes an already sad lyrical song so much sadder.
Mm-hmm. So my question is a song like this, now I know in my life how I would answer this, but is a song like this that really wallows in that feeling and doesn't sort of offer a light at the end of the tunnel sort of aspect to it? Is that cathartic for a person, for the listener, knowing that someone else felt this way and it's okay to like live in that feeling for a while? Or can it be argued that like, yo, this is the soundtrack of someone like just wanting to end it all? Where do you land on this, Nichole?
Well, I think catharsis is a really important thing that we have as humans. Like, we need an outlet for these feelings. And when we're feeling really sad and the world around us is like, hey, don't be sad, listen to ABBA and like dance around. Like, no, that's not going to work for me, even though ABBA's delightful, right? But you need songs to put your head down on the bar to sometimes, to know that other people feel that way you feel too. And that allows us to have that connection with each other and allows us to feel like, you know, it's such an overused statement, but it's true. Like, it's okay to not be okay. And it's okay to have low moments. And hey, I do too. Everyone does. And we can connect through music in a way that like makes us feel not so alone. So I love sad sack songs and I love Rainy Drive songs because it makes me feel those moments of joy even more profoundly, that I had that catharsis in those low moments, right? It makes us feel connected to each other in a real humanistic way. I mean, I talk on our pod all the time about like how I love grief and I love vulnerability. And I think that they're the most beautiful human emotions because they make us feel real and alive and three-dimensional. And I think that that's beautiful.
Yeah, I agree. You don't want to be numb to the world. And also, without the bitter, the sweet ain't so sweet, right? You have to experience these things. And yes, I can't imagine more nails on a chalkboard than when you're feeling low, when you're feeling sad about something, to try to counteract that by putting on Walking on Sunshine or something. That I can't imagine that would make me feel so. I mean, I've experienced that. Who hasn't experienced feeling down and being somewhere where something's playing? It makes you feel way worse. And so that's why I would agree that, yes, this type of music, even though you could argue like it's going to make things worse, I think it makes things better. And I do think, Donnie Darko is the perfect movie to talk about when you're talking about matching that feeling. This would be like a comfort movie to put on when you are feeling low. This movie is an interesting thing too, as Matt, we're going to get into some 9/11 talk here, because this movie premiered at Sundance in January of 2001, limited theatrical release in October of 2001, because the film's advertising featured a crashing plane a month after the September 11th attacks had occurred. So it was barely advertised. It grossed $500,000, $500,000 on its initial run, but it gained a cult following after the reissues. It went on to gross. It's kind of impressive that it went on to gross $7.5 million after the fact and earned more than $10 million in U.S. home video sales. This is really kind of at the peak or near the peak of like people buying DVDs and having a home collection, which Matt has continued to this day.
Yeah. This is definitely one of those films that I feel like there's certain movies that I feel like every person of a certain age had this on DVD.
Yeah.
At the time, like it felt like any home you went, any dorm or any house that you wandered into in like 2002 to 2006 had a copy of Donnie Darko, like in there. I think it's interesting about this song and this cover is that it is used to perfection in Donnie Darko, and it like fits the ending of the movie so well. And then it kind of accidentally becomes a parody of itself by showing up in so much stuff over the years, where I think that there is a lot of people who have kind of taken a turn on this song because it almost feels like hacky for this song to show up in anything anymore. Like the list that I saw was like General Hospital, The OC, Smallville, Jericho, CSI, House, Riverdale. Like all of these like dramedies were throwing this song in very sincerely. And it's kind of one of those things where like the more you see a song used to convey the same emotion, it almost becomes laughable at a certain point when you hear it, because it's like, of course this is the song they're going to use at this point. Like,
right. Yeah, I noticed that. And we talk about like the cult following that followed. I mean, it wasn't like this Gary Jules song took off in 2001 when the movie first came out. It was Christmas of 2003 in the UK when this song went to number one. It was a number one on Christmas of all times. Which
did you see what it beat?
Yeah, I mean, The Darkness were at number 2 with Christmas.
With a Christmas song that they wrote.
Yeah, and Ozzy and Kelly Osbourne, Changes at number 3.
Oof.
Yeah, Happy Christmas War is Over from Idols at number 5. It beat a lot of Christmas songs, and man, that's kind of depressing that this was the number one song at Christmas in the UK, but somehow it also feels very English or something that this would be a number one song at Christmas time. I don't know why that is.
It might be like a Tears for Fears connection too. True. That it was like calling back to that Tears for Fears version. Maybe.
Yeah.
People love sadness on the holidays, proven.
What's very interesting to me is Gary Jules, to be honest, no offense, Gary, if you're listening. Gary Jules kind of feels like somebody who just like plays at the local bar or something, who had this stroke of luck, because even the song itself, look, I realize his voice is pretty distinctive, okay, to a certain extent. He didn't write the song, And the music, you're talking about the music of the song, the very memorable sort of vibey, moody piano and stuff. Well, the music of the song was created by his friend who did all of the score of Donnie Darko. His friend's name, which I have to look at it.
Michael Andrews.
Michael Andrews did the score. So kind of, once again, no offense, Gary Jules, but kind of the whole vibe of the song, 80%, maybe 75, 80% of this is this sort of world that Michael Andrews has created here, and a little less credit to Gary Jules, who kind of gets all the glory here.
Well, especially because if you listen to any other Gary Jules songs, it's very much singer-songwriter. Like you said, like a guy that you'd see. Like Gary Jules has way more in common with, say, like Sean Mullins, who we've done an episode on, than like the vibe of this particular song. I think that his voice is perfect for the mood that the song is trying to convey, for sure, and we're not going to take that away from him. But I don't. If this was done in the style of other Gary Jules songs, it would not be the song that people were putting on burnt discs to give their friends.
Yeah. And this Gary Jules, the Mad World and the album Trading Snake Oil for Wolf Tickets was the album that this song was on. It peaked at number 144 on the Billboard 200, which is that's not very high. I mean, in the US, it's kind of like an after the fact sort of thing. Yes, you brought up that Adam Lambert sang a cover of Mad World, very influenced by the Gary Jules version on American Idol in 2009. We're talking 6 years after it was a hit for him in the UK. This allowed the Gary Jules version to climb to number 11, and we're talking about the iTunes store charts. Yeah. Not necessarily the Hot 100 here. There is a music video for this song done by Michelle Gondry, which is...
Yep.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. I love the music video. And I love Michelle Gondry just generally, like Eternal Sunshine, The Spotless Mind. Also, he directed this great movie called The Science of Sleep, which is about some guy like taking over his own dreams from inside of them. So I was stoked to see that he directed the music video. And after I watched it, I was like, what a weirdo, man. It's not as weird as it could have been, but it still was like one whole shot the whole time. It's worth a view for sure.
Yeah,
it's a really good video.
It is very good. Michelle Gondry, you're not going to go wrong. I mean, he's one of those dudes where I actually think I own it on DVD. It seems like something Matt would have on DVD too. It's like the Michelle Gondry collection of music videos, just like there was a Spike Jonze and a Chris Cunningham, and these music video directors who Gondry obviously did Bjork videos, and I'm sure he did Radiohead videos, right? Like all the bands and artists that you would expect him to do. He's absolutely incredible. Gary Jules, did you guys dive in to the Gary Jules catalog at all?
I did. I knew a few. He had a song in Scrubs, so I knew that particular song. But like I said, the rest of it was very just like singer-songwriter stuff. Like it was fine, but yeah, I can get why this was the only song most people know by him.
Introducing Internet Supreme Court, the new live stream show where we judge everything in the current cultural zeitgeist.
We cover news, memes, Reddit drama, X-nonsense, and try to stare long enough into Mark Zuckerberg's eyes to see if he has a soul.
He doesn't. Check us out every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on InternetSupremeCourt.com, premiering in March 2025.
Check out InternetSupremeCourt.com for more, or follow us on Instagram and Blue Sky.
Gary Jules is very much a one-trick pony. If you like Mad World, you're going to hear a lot of songs in that same sort of vibe. Very moody, finger-picky. He did a cover of I Want You to Want Me in 2011, which is kind of like the Mad World version of I Want You to Want Me. It is. I'll give him this. It is pretty. It's pretty good. He has a new single called Falling Awake, which he has a music video for from 2024. It's his newest single that I listened to. It's just really chill, folky music with his voice really up front in the mix. Some light finger picking, some light organ and bass. There's just not a lot of variety when it comes to Gary Jules. That's what I'll say. I give him, he's good. He's definitely good. Not something that I would necessarily listen to. I don't know. And I'm pretty...
I was charmed by the story behind his one song, Gone Daddy. Did you see that?
No.
When you were doing research? There's a song called Gone Daddy that's about the story of what led to him relocating his family from California to North Carolina. And the story was that his next door neighbor was gunned down and the police were investigating the shooting. And Jules approached the officer and just said, "Hey, my child is napping right now and I'm worried about them waking up while you guys are out here. Do you know how much longer you're going to be out here?" And the officer said, "I don't know, but if you've got a problem with this, maybe you should just leave Los Angeles." And he took that to heart and was just like, okay.
It's like, sounds great. Bye.
Gary Jules, we'll get into a little bit more of that. But before we decide if Gary Jules is thunder or blunder, do you guys want to play a game? I brought a game.
I always want to play a game.
Love games.
So it's the same game as we play a lot of times on One Hit Thunder. Nichole, if you want to buzz in before I say the multiple choice, you can get 2 points. To buzz in, you say Jules. Jules will be our buzzer today. All and you get 2 points if you get it without the multiple choice. If neither of you can get it without it, I'll give you the multiple choice. Same thing. Buzz in and say Jules. There are going to be 7 questions to this game. It's all Gary Jules somehow or other related. Not really. I should say that's a real stretch. It's all related to this episode in one way or another, I would say.
All right.
You guys ready?
I'm ready. Mm-hmm.
This actress, also known for her roles in Into the Wild and Sucker Punch, played Gretchen Ross in Donnie Darko.
Oh, fuck. I need the multiple choice, I think, but I know exactly who this is.
Nichole,
I can see her face.
Yeah,
I can see her face.
Multiple
it's not
choice.
Maggie Gyllenhaal, but
Yeah.
I want it to be.
Your choices are A, Maggie Gyllenhaal, B, Ashley Tisdale, C, DeVay Chase, or D, Jenna Malone.
Jules.
Jules.
Oh, Matt got you.
D.
Okay, you got it. Matt gets a point.
Yes.
Well, I was just going to double down on Maggie Gyllenhaal, so.
All right, Matt's up 1-0. Released the same year as Donnie Darko, Jake Gyllenhaal also starred in which black comedy based off of a 1976 film?
Nichole, you feeling like multiple choice as well on this?
Yes,
Yeah, let's multiple
for
choice
sure.
it.
A, October Sky, B, Lovely and Amazing, C, Bubble Boy, or D, The Good Girl?
Jules.
Go for it.
Is it Bubble Boy?
It is.
Yes.
It's Bubble Boy, the same year. All right. 1-1. I thought you were a big Bubble Boy guy, Matt.
I'm not a big Bubble Boy. I'm not a fan. We even watched it for Horror Movie Night's Patreon, and I still was like, yep, this movie's just not for me. Which is shocking, because I love all of the other movies that Bubble Boy is categorized with.
It's funny because I'm not just joking. I actually thought you loved Bubble Boy for some reason. I don't know why I thought that. All right, we're tied up. When the original Tears for Fears version of Mad World peaked at number 3 on the UK singles chart in November of 1982, it was 2 spots below I Don't Wanna Dance by which electrifying past subject of a One Hit Thunder episode?
Mark's going to kill me for not knowing this.
Multiple choice, please.
You need the multiple choice?
Yeah.
A, Eddie Grant, B, Yellow, C, Minnie Riperton, or D, Love and Rockets?
God, those are all... all 4 of those I could, see doing it. I'm going to say...
Jules.
Okay, go for
You
it.
have to
Nichole
buzz in,
says
bud.
Jules.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick D just as a guess. Just try to game the
That is
system.
incorrect. That is
All right.
incorrect.
Then I'm going to say Jules and say A.
You got it. It's Eddie Grant.
Yes.
Oh man.
My clue was electrifying past subject of One Hit Thunder.
Didn't even
Electric
catch
Avenue.
that hint.
Electric Avenue.
Yeah.
That was the clue.
I just
Guys.
was like, I'm pretty sure Electric Avenue was 82, so that was.
And Nichole, it's wild. You know, we can look back at, our stats of our podcast or whatever to see like which episodes are popular.
Sure.
The Eddie Grant Electric Avenue episode of One Hit Thunder for years now, every week, just gets tons of plays.
I wonder
don't know.
why.
No clue why.
We try to figure out the analytics for our pod too, and I don't know why
Nichole,
Bone Thugs is so popular.
You'll love this, but the other song that has never stopped being popular on our feed, Gautier, somebody that I used to know.
That was the one I said, let's do that. But that's cool. I'm very into Mad World, and I think it's a hit so far. What's next?
Yep. Okay, so Matt's up 2-1. In the same week that Mad World hit number 1 on the UK singles chart in December of 2003, Silverchair frontman Daniel Johns married which past One Hit Thunder subject at a beach ceremony in Port Douglas, Australia?
Fuck.
One of my best friends used to follow Silverchair around, which is hilarious.
I remember the reverse of this being when we were doing trivia on this artist. It was they married what grunge, post-grunge singer. Fuck. Multiple choice again? It's a lot of multiple choice heavy trivia today.
Yeah.
I'm in.
A, Stacey Q. B, Kylie Minogue. C, Natalie Imbruglia. Or D, Sean Colvin.
Jules.
Okay, go
C,
ahead.
Natalie Imbruglia.
You got it.
Wow. You guys are smart about music trivia.
They were unfortunately torn not long after because they were divorced.
Another song that we discussed that was a cover.
That's great.
It was.
There's so many covers. Who knew?
Yep.
You guys
All
probably.
right, Matt's up 3-1, but don't worry, Nichole. You could tie him up if you can get this one without the multiple choice.
I hope it's about psychology.
I don't know about that.
All right.
Mad World was sung by this animated character in a 2012 episode titled Frap Attack.
Oh, wait. No.
Jewel.
Go ahead.
Is it Stewie Griffin? Griffin from Family Guy? No, I can tell by your
That is
face.
incorrect.
Yeah, that's okay.
I'm gonna
Matt.
abstain. Multiple choice, I guess.
Your choices. It was sung by this animated character in a 2012 episode titled Frap Attack. A, Homer Simpson. B, Bender. C, Glenn Quagmire. Or D, Cleveland Brown.
I was literally going to, without multiple choice, say Bender from Futurama, so I'm going to have to go with B, Bender.
That's incorrect.
Wow. I don't know why in my brain I thought for sure Bender would sing this.
It would be
It
a
was
really great commentary to have a robot sing that song.
Yes.
Like it is, so that's probably.
It was actually Cleveland Brown on the Cleveland Show sang the entire song.
Jesus.
the entire song.
Yes. All right. So it's still 3-1. Nichole, you're not out of it yet.
I'm feeling
We got
out
2
of it,
questions
guys.
left. I think you can get this one.
All right.
Gary Jules is from Fresno, California. This fellow Fresno native dancer, actor, and DJ released his debut album, Playing with Fire, in 2006, which was panned by critics as one of the worst albums ever released. And I will say, I searched worst albums of 2006, like after I saw this bit, and this was on like Ranker. You know, that's like Ranker where people like vote. This was ranked number 1 by actual people.
Can you read the question one more time? I'm going to
Sure.
go on a non-multiple choice guess, I think.
Okay.
He's Googling it for sure.
No.
You better not fuck with the
I'm
integrity
like
of this
about to
game.
reach for my phone. Like I can see it. I'm like,
Keep my hands in the air
how
so
would they
I
know?
can't be Googling it.
They never know.
Gary Jules is from Fresno, California. This fellow Fresno native dancer, actor, and DJ released his debut album Playing with Fire in 2006, which was panned by critics as one of the worst albums ever released.
Was this Kevin Federline?
You got it.
Yes!
Oh my gosh. Poor Kevin Federline, right? Like, he's been through so much.
I was like, I had to hear what the different jobs were so I could make sure that all of them checked off Kevin Federline in my brain.
Was one of them actor, though? Like,
I think he played himself in some things.
Yeah, I play myself in like everyday life. I'm not an actress.
All right, so Matt has a 5-1 lead, so he got it. Here's the deal, though. I will give Nichole a chance to tie it up if she gets this one without. This one will be worth 4 points if you get it without the multiple choice. So
Go 5.
You still got a shot.
Let her
here,
have
Nichole.
a chance to beat me.
Oh, Matt
right.
is cocky as hell right now. Nichole, I hope you take it to him.
I'm giving you
with this.
personality tests after this. Yeah, we're doing like some psych trivia next time, guys.
There you go. Michel Gondry's music video for Mad World came out in 2004. Right between 2 music videos he did for which band previously featured on One Hit Thunder for the songs Winning Days and Ride.
Jules.
Go ahead, Matt.
The Vines.
Oh, dang. He took it to you.
Well,
sorry, Nichole.
It's also very tricky because while I'm a fan of your podcast, you've recorded all of them. I can't. You have I can't listen to all of these podcasts.
If you didn't give the song titles and say that they were a previous subject on the show, I would have probably buzzed in and said the White Stripes instead, actually.
All I was thinking about was like Daft Punk, only because I know that was in that box set, but I don't even think that's Michel Gondry. I think that's Spike Jonze, someone else. But whatever.
Yeah. So the game was, I in retrospect, it was a little slanted towards Matt. Nichole, I still give you credit. And before we talk about Thunder or Blunder on Gary Jules, Nichole, we've talked about it before on this podcast when we had your co-host. We got to talk about your podcast, Nevermind the Music, for a second, because it's an amazing podcast.
Thank you.
Give people your pitch on it if they may have not heard your co-host on our podcast before.
So our podcast, Nevermind the Music, focuses on like compositional music elements and psychological elements of songs that you may really relate to, especially if you're like us, like elder millennial, Gen X folks. Mark, my co-host, is a music professor. I'm a psychology professor. We met teaching at a college in Boston and just always had great banter. And he had to do a project for his sabbatical, and he tapped me as on-air talent, which I love to say that out loud, to just kind of riff with him as he explains like music theory according to popular songs. So he's like taking lessons that he's taught for years and just kind of putting them on mic. And he's teaching them to me, and I can't help myself but to add in some banter about like the psychological elements of it. And we make some pretty cool connections between what he's talking about musically and some like psychosocial theory. So if you're a nerd for music, a nerd for psychology, check our podcast out. We drop new episodes every Tuesday. We have a great Tears for Fears episode that came out last week, which kind of prompted me to start thinking about Mad World even more. And then in the next couple of weeks, we have some TLC content happening. I'm a big TLC fan. Mark might not be, but I surely educate him on all things T-Baw's Left Eye and Chili.
Love
Hell
that.
yeah.
It is easily one of my favorite podcasts. It's a first thing Tuesday morning listen for me. So love having both you and Mark on the show.
That's awesome. Thanks. We recorded them all already. We had like a whole season in the can, and now we're just releasing them. And it's so funny because we just rant, who even knows what we say about this stuff. And then I listen to the podcast back, and Mark will make a joke and I'll reply in my head with a comment. And then Nichole on the radio will reply with that same comment. And it's like this weird meta thing, but it's been a really fun project. We're starting to plan for season 2. So if you guys have any ideas, let us know.
I do love, because Chris and I also do the evergreen thing of recording like a good amount of content ahead, because we both have busy lives and we never know like when Chris might be playing some shows or I might be at a convention, and making sure that we can get our weekly release. But you guys have had a few more issues than we've ever had where you have to put disclaimers at the front of your episodes explaining like, hey, our episode on Drake was recorded way before the Drake Kendrick.
I knew it though the whole time. We're talking about Drake like last summer, and I was like, Drake is such a creep, Mark. Like, we shouldn't even be giving him our air and our mental bandwidth. He's like, no, it's great. There's elements we can talk about. I was like, bro, no.
I think
and then I was right, as usual, that Drake's a creep. So check that, give that a listen, and you can see how I'm right about everything.
Poor Mark gets like a weekly text message from me with my feelings on the episode. And I remember the one was you guys were talking about double albums. And you said something like, no one would release a double album in 2024. And then I was like, Taylor Swift did. She literally did that year.
I know. We made this like unwritten rule to not talk about Taylor Swift when we were first recording because the Swifties go nuts. And we thought that, you have these delusions of grandeur, right? And we're like, we don't need all the Swifties coming after us. They'll come to our house. They'll like stalk us out. But obviously that didn't happen. We've since lightened our restrictions.
Chris and I came out pretty unscathed with a review of that album the day it came out, where we trashed it. And it got got a ton of a ton of listens, and no one really wrote to us with anger. A few of our friends who are like Swifties publicly were like, hey, you guys said what I was thinking, but I'm not going to actively put that out there because I don't want the wrath of the
I didn't like it when it first came out.
I still don't like it.
Really? When have you listened to it? You need to listen to it like 200 times.
Okay. Well, I mean, I guess I'm equipped for that, right, Chris? I made CD compilations of songs I hate, so maybe I do need to just...
Yeah, that's true. Nichole, Matt, when he was younger, would make mixed CDs of his least favorite songs so he could listen to it to try to like them. which is
I kind of love that personal growth.
Well, I mean, yeah. Give him a psychological analysis of that. That is some crazy shit, I gotta say.
I think it's super healthy. Like one of my favorite psychologists, Carl Rogers, said that we're always changing but never changed. Like we never stop growing and evolving. And that's a really great test of that ideal. Like always changing, never changed. You get to keep learning and growing. And maybe one day you'll appreciate at least the first half of Tortured Poets for what it is, which is great.
Don't encourage him, Nichole. Don't encourage him. Never mind the music. Make sure you check it out. Go subscribe. Why not? Why shouldn't you go hit subscribe right now? That's what I think. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe to a podcast. All you do is click the little plus sign and subscribe. You should do that. It's an awesome podcast. Okay, Gary Jules. Do we feel like Gary Jules brought the one-hit thunder, or was just the one-hit blunder? How do you feel about it, Nichole?
Oh, it's a tough decision. I'm going to say one-hit thunder, because when you think of this song, you don't think of the Tears for Fears version, you think of this version. Or the Adam Lambert version, if I'm being honest. But this is, when you think of Mad World, you think of this, right? And not Tears for Fears with their synth pop vibe. So Interesting.
All right, Matt?
I love this song. The song meant a lot to me in 2002, but Gary Jules, I'm sorry. I'm going to go blunder. I just don't think if my criteria is, hey, you like this song, you should probably listen to the rest of their catalog. I don't think you need to listen to the rest of Gary Jules' catalog. I think just living a life of Gary Jules being exclusively Mad World in your memories is a perfectly fine way to live your life.
So it comes down to me. So we got a vote for either side. I think that is a pretty good point. Now, we talked about this with Sinead O'Connor before, where the cover is by far the more well-known version of the song. So that is a point in the pro category. Unfortunately, there are way too many points in the negative category for me, because I dove deeper into his catalog. I think he's good, but I kind of think this guy hit the lottery. It's a cover song. The musical part of it is really the other guy. A big part of it is the other guy. And I don't really have much of a desire to listen to any of these other songs. If you like the Mad World cover, you might like the I Want You to Want Me cover too. Like that's kind of what he does, is do these much more somber versions of his covers. And I mean, it's it's chill, but if I'm going to listen to chill music, I'm going to go with like 1,000 other things before I'm going to listen to Gary Jules for me. And even if I'm going to put my head on the bar, there's a lot of other choices. I do think this is good. I just think Gary Jules kind of hit the lottery. I would have to go Blunder. No disrespect intended, Gary Jules. You seem like a delightful person. It's just on this particular one, I have to go Blunder, and it would go 2-1 here. But thank you, Nichole, for being part of the podcast today. I hope you come back.
Yes.
Yeah, I had a really great time. You guys are fun and funny.
Aw.
Thanks. That's all we can ask for.
Yeah.
This has been One Hit Thunder. One Hit Thunder is hosted by Chris Afalios of the band Punchline and produced by Matt Kelly of Geekscape.net. Underneath me, you're hearing Green Light off the Punchline album 37 Everywhere. Go to punchlinemusic.com for merch and to find out about more information on upcoming shows. Our podcast is on Patreon now. Find us at patreon.com/OHT podcast for early access to episodes, bonus episodes, and a chance to vote on future songs for us to cover. Buy some merch from us on our merch store at onehithunder.dashery.com. Make sure to rate, review, and subscribe to us on your favorite podcasting apps, and tune in next week for more One Hit Thunder.
What we have, like if it's hot, let's try to be cool with that. And if it's cool,
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.